Hello everyone, in this video we're going to draw a rat. Start by drawing a circle as a guide for the body. An easy way to draw a circle is to first make a couple of small marks to indicate the circle's length, and then on the sides make a couple more small marks to indicate the circle's width. Then just connect the small marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. Sketch lightly at first so that it's easy to erase if you make a mistake. Also pause the video as you follow along to draw at your own pace. To the right, draw another circle as a guide for the head. Make the circle about half the size of the first circle. Don't draw the circles too close together or the body will be too short. Draw a horizontal line across the middle of the head for a construction guide. To the right, draw a curved line as a guide for the top part of the muzzle. This guide should be similar to an arc on its side. Pay attention to the size of this arc in relation to the head. Below that, draw a smaller arc as a guide for the lower jaw. On the top left side of the head, draw a wide arc as a guide for the ear. The ear should be big in relation to the head. Connect the head to the circle on the left using long lines to create the guide for the front part of the body. On the left side of the circle, draw a long curved line as a guide for the back portion of the body. The bottom part of this shape should be flat. Below the front part of the body, draw a short angled line as a guide for the front leg. Bend the line at the bottom to indicate a foot and again at the top for a joint. To the right and below the head, draw another angled line as a guide for the other front leg. On the back portion of the body, draw another angled line as a guide for the hind leg. Draw the line going to the left and then bend it back down and to the right for the foot. Draw another angled line to the right as a guide for the other hind leg. Starting on the left side of the body, draw a long curved line as a guide for the tail. Curve the line to the right so that it's under the body. Make this line almost as long as the entire body. And that's it for the guidelines. Now let's start on the final drawing. Inside the head, lightly sketch a small triangle for the eye. Draw the eye above the horizontal construction guide and close to the top edge of the muzzle. When you get the size and position of the eye right, darken the shape. Leave the inside of the eye blank for a spooky look. Above the eyes, draw a couple of short curved lines for the furrowed brow. Draw a line at the bottom too for a crease. Darken the big arc on the right to create the shape of the top jaw. Extend the line at the bottom to the left so that it's inside the head. Curve the line downward to create the open mouth. At the bottom, curve the line back to the right to connect to the lower jaw. Darken the smaller arc at the bottom to complete the lower jaw. Draw a curved line under the mouth for a crease. Near the tip of the top jaw, draw a short line for the nostril. Draw a couple of small angled shapes below the top jaw for teeth. Add a couple of lines to create the gums. Farther to the right, draw longer rectangular shapes for the front teeth. Make the bottoms of the teeth pointy. Below that, draw a couple more angled shapes for the front teeth on the bottom jaw. To the left, draw the lower gums and more teeth the same way. Make the tops of the teeth pointy. Draw a couple of curved lines for the other side of the mouth. Inside the top jaw, draw a few more curved lines for creases. Draw a few dots below the nostril for the base of the whiskers. On the right side of the muzzle, draw a few long strokes for the whiskers. Darken the big arc on the left side of the head to create the ear. Draw a few curved lines within the shape for the ear's opening and for fur. Use the small initial circle as a guide to draw the rest of the head. Make the top of the head flatter than the initial circle. Draw a series of short angled lines along the bottom left side of the circle for fur. Now use the second line from the right that's under the body as a guide to draw the front leg. Draw the shape of the leg around the guideline. Make the shape of the leg wide. On the bottom right side, draw a small curved shape for the first toe. Make the right side of the toe thin and pointy for the nail. To the right, draw another small toe the same way. Draw a third toe the same way farther to the right. Darken the other lines to finish the shape of the leg. Draw a series of short angled lines on the left side for fur. Use the line to the right as a guide to draw the other front leg. Draw the shape of the leg around the guideline. On the right side, draw small curved shapes for the toes. Make the tips of the toes thin and pointy for the nails. Make the toe on the left a bit smaller than the other toes. Use the angled line on the far left side as a guide to draw the hind leg. Just like with the front legs, draw the shape of the hind leg around the guideline. At the bottom, draw a series of short angled lines to represent fur. Make the foot at the bottom thinner than the leg. Draw the shape of the foot around the guide. On the tips of the foot, draw a few small curved shapes for the toes. Make the tips of the toes thin and pointy. Use the line on the right as a guide to draw the other hind leg the same way. Draw the leg around the guide and then draw a few small curved shapes for the toes. Make the tips of the toes thin and pointy for the nails. Darken the outer edges of the rest of the guides to create the shape of the body. Draw a series of short angled lines along the bottom of the body to create a furry texture. Now darken the long curved line below the body for the first part of the tail. Draw another long curved line to make the shape of the tail thicker. Make the shape of the tail wide at the base and then gradually make it thin and pointy toward the tip. And that's it for the rat. Now just go over your final lines with permanent ink, erase the guides, and color your drawing. The next few steps will be sped up so that the video isn't too long, but make sure that you go over your final lines slowly and carefully to avoid any accidents. For more tutorials like this one, please visit howtodrawanimals.com. That's how, and then the number 2, then drawanimals.com. Let me know in the comments what other animals you want to see me draw. Also, don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep drawing.